In college, my gorgeous roommate Brandon always took great care of me. With a push from my friends, I confessed my feelings to him. After that, he avoided me like the plague. A freak accident sent me 2 years back in time. This time, I had no illusions about him. But now, he was the one with red-rimmed eyes, pinning me against the wall, demanding to know what we were. I told him calmly, we're just roommates. Don't cross the line. A soft woman's voice came from Brandon's phone. All right, let's give it a shot. The whole dorm room erupted in whoops and hollers. They all crowded around Brandon, hyping him up, saying of course the campus heartthrob could land a beautiful upperclassman that easily. I cranked up the volume on my headphones, ignoring them and focusing on my game. In my past life, I had turned my headphones down to the lowest setting, trying to eavesdrop as he confessed his feelings to a minor influencer named Anna. My heart was pounding even faster than his. Back then, I couldn't focus on the game at all. My character got ganked by the enemy jungler over and over. But I had to hold back my tears and force a smile to congratulate him. Brandon, thrilled, had thrown his arms around me. I'm a firm believer in monogamy, he'd said, before planting a kiss on my cheek. I thought I still had a chance. It was only later that I realized it was all just one of those stupid games straight guys play. After Brandon and Anna broke up, my friends encouraged me to tell him how I felt. But he avoided me like I was radioactive, texting me, we're just roommates. Don't cross the line. The booming pentakill. And aced. Announcements blared from my headphones. I clicked on my mic and told my teammates, easy win. Last time, I was the one who kept dying. My teammates were all flaming me, except for our jungler, who just quietly carried the whole game. After it was over, he sent me a friend request and asked what was wrong, if I was upset about something. This time, I was the one carrying. I didn't want to be indebted to him for his kindness, just like I didn't want to owe Brandon for all the little ways he'd looked after me, which had slowly, inevitably, made me develop feelings for him. Hearing me, the other guys in the dorm thought I was talking about Brandon's new relationship. Just like last time, Brandon came over and wrapped his arms tightly around my neck. I easily won you over too. You're my number one, and she's my side piece. I'm a loyal supporter of monogamy, you know. He leaned in to kiss my cheek. I quickly wriggled out of his grasp and shot him a baffled look. What the hell is wrong with you? I was talking to my teammates. Brandon took off my headphones, held his phone up for me to see, and proudly played the voice message again. All right, let's give it a shot. Beneath the message was a green alligator sticker Brandon had sent her. That little green alligator. In my past life, I treasured it, thinking I was special, thinking he only sent that sticker to me. But now I felt nothing. I just gave a flat, oh, congrats. A cool male voice crackled from the headphones Brandon was still holding. Damn, dude, you really popped off. Only after the victory screen appeared did I lean back lazily in my chair. Just like last time, my team's jungler sent me a friend request. Brandon was still hovering next to me. He glanced at the username on the screen, then turned to me, his voice wounded. Who's that? And why didn't you ask me to play with you? His little straight guy games. They used to reel me in, and in the end, I was the one who paid the price. It's no one. You were busy, so I didn't bother you. He was busy confessing to Anna. Busy copying out the 1,000-word love letter I had written, planning to give it to her. Looking guilty, Brandon pulled up a chair, trying to squeeze in next to me like he always used to. His warm breath ghosted over my skin, but I couldn't smell that sunny, grassy scent on him anymore. A crush is a chemical reaction. When you like someone, they give off a scent that only you can smell. When the feelings are gone, the scent disappears too. I stood up and grabbed a practice test book for the advanced English exam. Excuse me, I'm heading to the library. The other roommates started hooting. Ooh, look at the brainiac off to study. Come on. Andy, give the rest of us a chance. I waved the book at them. Finals are in a month. You guys should get on it. Brandon scrambled up too, rushing to his desk to find the prep book he'd bought last year. Wait for me. Let's go together. Just then, his phone buzzed. A text from Anna. Hey, can you bring me that 1,000-word love letter you wrote? I want to film a video with it. I stood by the door, a smirk playing on my lips as I looked at Brandon. I'd done half the work on that letter. He had no clue how to write anything that heartfelt and sincere. I had poured all my secret feelings for him into those 1,000 words. I thought he'd understand. I never thought he'd turn around and use it to impress Anna. Brandon rubbed his nose awkwardly. Hey, Andy, I really owe you one for this. I'll treat you to dinner sometime. No thanks. A word is worth 1,000 gold pieces, as they say. For 1,000 words, I'll give you a discount. Just pay me $1. In my past life, the last message he ever sent me was a $1 money transfer. At the time, desperate to get him to add me back, I had shamelessly calculated all our shared expenses and realized he still owed me $1. He had replied, I'm paying you back now. Stop bothering me. Fine. Then give me back that $1. Brandon still walked out of the dorm with me, clutching the love letter and stealing glances at me. He started to say something, but a girl standing at the entrance to the dorm called out to him. Brandon, over here. I smiled and waved him off. Go on, don't keep her waiting. Brandon hurried over and swept Anna into his arms. Even just seeing their backs, you couldn't help but think they were a perfect match. In the past, my heart would have ached, seized up, the pain so bad it brought tears to my eyes. Now I just lifted my phone, snapped a picture, and sent it to our dorm group chat. Get a load of these two. Ignoring the flood of emoji reactions in the chat, I stuffed my phone in my pocket. Anna was a minor influencer. Plenty of guys coming in and out of the dorm recognized her. She smiled graciously and even hugged a male fan. I noticed the flicker of annoyance on Brandon's face. He was extremely possessive, while Anna was ambitious and driven. In my past life, when Brandon was chasing her, I had tried to warn him. That girl is amazing, but you've been slacking off all through college. You're not in her league. Be realistic. He wouldn't listen. He thought because he was good-looking, a great gamer, and tall, Anna had no reason to reject him. In the end, Anna got an early acceptance to a top-tier graduate school, while Brandon claimed he was studying for his grad school entrance exams but actually just played video games all day. He didn't even make the national cutoff score. After Anna dumped him, Brandon dragged me out for drinks time after time, crying that I was all he had left, and I was naive enough to think that their breakup meant I finally had a chance. Most people's sexuality is fluid, my friend had said, knowing about my hopeless crush. He's gayer than you are, totally gives off by vibes. Just confess. What if it works out? With my friend's assurances that you two would be perfect together ringing in my ears, I worked up the courage to tell him. Who knew he'd look at me with such disgust? He said he found an internship and never came back to campus after that. He didn't even come back for graduation. He deleted me on everything, vanishing from my life as if he'd never existed. Only then did I finally understand what "don't cross the line" really meant. We were just roommates. Starting over, I'll keep it that way. I promise I'll never cross that line again. I hope you and Anna will be very happy. Lost in thought, I wasn't watching where I was going and crashed right into a cart, landing with a thud as a basket of balls went flying. What the? Where did you come from? A dozen basketballs bounced across the pavement. I looked up, embarrassed. I was met with a scowl. He was handsome, but his slightly upturned eyes and thin, pressed lips made him look like trouble. Sorry, I wasn't looking. I scrambled up and quickly started helping him gather the scattered basketballs. An advanced English exam prep book. He picked the book up off the ground, shoved it into my arms, and said excitedly, "You actually passed the first level. Bro, you heading to the library?" I took a step back, staring at his face, and nodded. Why did this guy look angry when he was excited? For a second, I thought he was going to punch me. At me, man. You gotta keep me on track. Before he could finish, the class bell rang. He grabbed his cart and took off running. Hey, good luck on the exam. See you around if fate allows. I didn't think much of the brief encounter and kept walking toward the library, but there was something familiar about the way he talked. He sounded like he'd be a good jungler. More people trickled into the library. I felt someone sit down in the seat next to me. Without looking up, I scooted to the right to give them more space. Then, a long, slender finger tapped the back of my hand. I finally looked up and met a pair of slightly upturned eyes. A few beads of sweat still clung to his forehead. He gave me a wicked grin and held up his phone, displaying a QR code for me to scan. He looked like a villain from a TV show, the kind you immediately know is the secret mastermind trying to ruin the main characters' lives. After I scanned it and added him, his fingers flew across the screen. Danny, fate is a funny thing. This is your fault. I was late for class because you ran into me and had to run laps as punishment. I stared at the long string of messages, not sure how to respond, and slowly typed out 2 lines. Andy, get back to studying. He replied instantly, you have to keep me on track. Don't let me fall asleep. After sending it, he flipped his phone face down on my side of the table, then snatched my phone and did the same on his side. Wouldn't you know it? I hadn't even finished one reading passage before I heard the sound of steady breathing from next to me. I looked over at him. He was still holding his pen, his vocabulary book open to the first page. I really had no words. I wished him the best of luck on his exam. For the rest of the afternoon, Danny drifted in and out of sleep. If I hadn't been so gentle, his arm would have been covered in poke marks. Damn, English vocabulary is basically a giant pile of sleeping pills. Pile was a very vivid way to put it. After we left the library, Danny bounced around, stretching his body. He casually bumped my shoulder. Come on, let's go eat at Cafeteria 4. They've got reruns of Jerry Springer on a loop. Just then, someone tapped my other shoulder. I turned to see Brandon looking at me with a strange expression. He and Anna were standing there together. Andy, I was watching you in the library all afternoon. Why didn't you look over at me? The difference between liking someone and not liking them is so stark. When I still liked him, I could spot him in a crowd no matter where he was. Now that I didn't, he just blended into the background. I hadn't even noticed he was there. Danny draped himself over me like he had no bones. He raised an eyebrow. Andy Bear. He called you Andy? Andy Bear? That was my dog's name. You must be Andy. Brandon mentions you all the time. Sensing the awkward atmosphere, Anna took a step forward, smoothly changing the subject. I remembered Anna saying the exact same thing to me in the past. Back then, I thought it meant I held a special place in Brandon's heart. I only realized later that I was just a topic of conversation he used to get closer to Anna. A secret crush is a one-man show of emotional turmoil. Just because he mentions you all the time doesn't mean you're important. It just means he's willing to use your life to bond with someone else. I pushed Danny off me and nodded. He says great things about you too. Want to grab dinner together? Danny looked displeased. He leaned in close to my ear. We were going to have a secret rendezvous at Cafeteria 4. Why are we inviting them? Then he buried his face in my neck and took a deep sniff. You smell so good. This guy looked like a wolf, but why did he act like a puppy? Danny's annoyance was plain to see. With his naturally grumpy-looking face, he now looked like he was about to punch someone. Haha, no, it's okay. You two go ahead. Brandon and I are going to the food street, Anna said quickly. She grabbed Brandon, whispered something to him, and they left. But just as they were leaving, Brandon suddenly turned back and our eyes met. The complicated look in his eyes confused me. Ooh, still staring at him, are we? Danny waved a hand in front of my face, his tone clearly irritated. I can't believe you're into that skinny little twig. Come on, feel my abs. He grabbed my hand and tried to pull it toward his stomach. I yanked my hand away. What was with these straight guys? Why did they love playing these ambiguous little games so much? I looked into Danny's dark eyes and said, word by word, I'm into guys. We should probably keep our distance. Danny froze, as if he couldn't process what I'd said. I scoffed. Knew it. What kind of dumbass thing is that to say? Of course I know you like guys. I'm trying to ask you out. Why would we keep our distance? With that, Danny sidled up next to me again. You didn't realize I am too? I knew you were into guys the second I saw you. This time, it was my turn to be stunned. Him? Into guys? He didn't look it at all. What was this, a husky pretending to be a wolf or a Samoyed disguised as a white fox? You? Give me a second to process this. I thought I could smell the faint scent of tobacco on him. But I'm not looking to date right now. I get it. You're dating your advanced English exam. Me too. I'm all about my basic English exam right now. Danny waved his vocabulary book and continued with his roguish smile. Come on, senior. Give me a chance. If I pass the exam this time, you have to let me chase you. I thought about him sleeping like the dead in the library and nodded without fear. It was too late to start cramming for that exam now. So, are we still going to cafeteria 4? Before I could refuse, Danny held up 2 fingers, mimicking a character from a show. It's the paternity test episode. You have to see it. The Jerry Springer reruns at Cafeteria 4 were indeed spectacular. Danny and I watched the entire episode before heading back to the dorm. It was already dark. Before I could flip the lights on, a slender figure stood before me. Andy, you better stay away from Danny. The voice was hoarse and jarring, but I could tell it was Brandon. Confused, I took a step back. Why? Am I not allowed to have my own friends? I stepped back for no other reason than I didn't want to be too close to him. He was straight, after all. Brandon was silent for a long time, hesitating, as if steeling himself for something. I heard from Anna, Danny likes guys. It's not good for you to be around him. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. I like guys too. What's not good about it? Besides, he's a pretty great guy. I'm thinking of... Before I could finish, Brandon cut me off. No to what? I leaned against the wall and casually flipped on the light. Only then did I notice that Brandon's eyes were red and filled with panic. When he couldn't come up with a reason after a long pause, I sighed. If you have such a problem with it, I'll just move out. That way I won't be an eyesore. Are you going to move in with him? I found the question ridiculous. What do you think? I'm going to sleep on the athletic field? Brandon suddenly became agitated, his voice dropping to a low growl. Don't you find it disgusting? I thought that, having lived this life once before, I wouldn't have any emotional reaction to him anymore. But hearing the word disgusting, my heart gave a sharp, painful jolt. I asked him softly, did you ever think that, as your former friend, hearing you say that might hurt my feelings? Former friend? Brandon pointed a trembling finger at himself. We were friends. What are we now? I avoided his gaze, turning my head to the side. Actually, I used to have a crush on you. I'm sure you could tell. But you're straight, so we could only be friends. Brandon, I don't like you anymore. And I'm petty. I can't keep being friends with you. So I guess that makes us roommates. I thought saying those words would still make me feel wronged or sad. But there was nothing. Only a calm peace and a sense of release from my past feelings. It wasn't until our other roommates came back from dinner that Brandon finally spoke. Can you not move out? I knew he was hoping they would help convince me to stay. Andy, what's going on? You two didn't get into a fight, did you? As I tidied my desk, I answered them, it's nothing major. I'm going to talk to our advisor about moving dorms tomorrow. Luckily, our advisor was pretty easygoing. I was sure she'd approve the move. I just didn't know which dorm I'd end up in. For some reason, I suddenly thought of Danny. I wanted to text him, but it felt weird. How could I go from telling him I wasn't interested in dating to asking if his dorm had a spare bed? My phone buzzed several times. I didn't even have to look to know it was Danny. Anna is such a loudmouth. I bet she told that smug pretty boy about me. If you're getting grief because of me, just come to our dorm. We have an empty bed. Some guy registered and then decided to go back and repeat his senior year of high school. Smug, pretty boy. With mixed feelings, I looked up and my eyes met Brandon's. Then I typed a reply to Danny. I'm going to talk to my advisor about changing dorms tomorrow. He replied instantly, I'll go with you. Just move into our dorm. Come on, senior. At least give me a home field advantage. The next day, I got up early. Seeing me get up, Brandon got up too. On the way to the advisor's office, he followed me, keeping a small distance. I had no idea what was going through his head. Maybe he planned to report me to the advisor for liking guys. Andy Bear. Danny was standing in the morning light, holding a plastic bag. He jumped up and waved, making sure I saw him. You gotta try this breakfast sandwich. It's amazing. Danny shoved the sandwich into my hand, then suddenly bent down and sniffed the top of my head, the tips of his ears turning red. You smell so good. Even better than the sandwich. I self-consciously touched my hair. To be honest, I hadn't washed it in 3 days. Andy Bear, don't call me that. That's my dog's name. Like a magician. Danny promptly produced a cup of soy milk and held it to my lips. No wonder you looked at me funny the first time I called you that. I just thought you were being shy. Why is that smug pretty boy following you? I swallowed the soy milk and followed Danny's gaze. Brandon was standing against the light. He'd bought breakfast at some point and was holding it, but I couldn't quite make out his expression. Danny nonchalantly finished the rest of the soy milk and tossed the cup in a perfect arc into a trash can. He's not going to report us to the advisor for having a secret affair, is he? A crime punishable by death. I'm begging you, watch fewer TV dramas. He's not that dramatic. He's probably just on his way to see his girlfriend and it happens to be on the way. Danny was a chatterbox, constantly throwing out jokes and references. Luckily, I could keep up and he got all of my jokes too. In the office, I explained my situation to the advisor. She pulled a form from her drawer. Of course, you can switch dorms, but you need to find out which dorm has an open spot first. If you don't know, you'll have to wait for the housing office to assign you one. Danny slung an arm around my neck and said with a grin, "It just so happens our dorm has an open spot from someone who never showed up. He can move in with us." But the look on his face was more like a villain threatening the hero. He just looked so fierce and thuggish. The advisor leaned back, sizing him up. He's not a student in our college, is he? To have students from different departments living together, I'll have to ask his advisor if that's okay. Oh please, I'm in the physical education department. My advisor is the nicest person in the world. She'll definitely agree. The advisor signed my form. Without looking up, she joked, "So if I don't agree, that makes me mean and ugly? All right, go get his advisor's signature, then take the form to the dorm supervisor and you can move." I clutched the form and left the office with Danny, coming face to face with Brandon, who was still holding his breakfast. "Anna isn't in the office. You're in the wrong place." Brandon's eyes were fixed on the form in my hand. His voice was strained. "Are you really moving out? Is that a rhetorical question? The form's already signed." Danny stepped in front of me, hands in his pockets, leaning casually against me. "And our advisor signed it herself," he added, full of righteous indignation. Brandon's lips moved, but he didn't say anything more. Instead, he threw his breakfast into the trash can as if to vent his frustration. "Fine, Andy. I guess we're not even roommates anymore." After saying that, Brandon turned and fled, not looking back. What's his problem? What a waste of food. Danny glanced wistfully at the breakfast in the trash can, then reached out and ruffled my hair. "My Andy is a good boy. He doesn't waste food." "My Andy?" I sidestepped his hand. "If I'm Big Andy, what does that make you? Little Danny?" Danny's mouth twitched. He grabbed the back of my neck and glanced down at his crotch. Little Danny isn't little. What was wrong with him? By the time Danny, our respective roommates, and I finished moving all my stuff, Brandon still hadn't shown up. Still looking back for him? Careful that smug pretty boy doesn't pop out and fart on you. Danny was holding my comforter, his face a perfect picture of gloom. My hands were full of bags, so I nudged him with my knee. "No, he still owes me $1. Seriously? He can't even afford to pay you back $1? It's not really about that. It's complicated. I can't explain it." After we finished making the bed, Danny flopped onto my comforter without a second thought. "I'm exhausted. Your comforter said it wants me to lean on it for a bit." "Andy, your comforter smells so good." He buried his face in the blanket and rubbed it vigorously. My cheeks felt hot, but I still managed to shoo him off the bed. "Stop rubbing on everything like a dog." That night, as I was falling asleep, I caught a scent on my blanket that wasn't mine. It was a faint smell of tobacco, not harsh at all, actually quite pleasant. For some reason, my heart skipped a beat. Then, enveloped in that scent, I fell into a deep sleep. Even though I'd switched dorms, I still sat with my old roommates in class. Except for Brandon. He seemed to be deliberately avoiding me. And whenever Danny didn't have class, he'd sit next to me and audit my lectures. His excuse was that he wanted to be a well-rounded individual. Whenever Danny came to crash a class, I could always feel a pair of eyes on us. But whenever I looked up, the gaze would vanish. I knew it was Brandon. "Andy, look what I got." Danny had a cut on the corner of his mouth. He held up a coin triumphantly, like it was a treasure. $1? I've been trying to catch that smug pretty boy for ages and never could. Finally got him today. He kept denying it, insisting he only owed you a 1,000-word love letter. Danny poked me in the chest, looking annoyed. "All my years of love for you have been for nothing. You've never even written me a 1,000-word love letter." I grabbed some iodine and cotton swabs from his desk and dabbed at the cut on his lip. "Are you auditioning for a role in a palace drama? You should hold onto this coin. We'll talk about it after you pass your exam in a couple of days. Can I use it to go back to the palace and slay the dragon?" I stared into his earnest, goofy eyes, took a deep breath, and couldn't resist poking the dimple on his cheek. "Please, I'm begging you, watch a different show. You've worn that one out." The story of two college guys fighting over a dollar coin got posted on the campus social media page, and the comments were full of people laughing. Only one person asked, "So wait, he didn't even write the 1,000-word love letter?" I heard Anna and Brandon broke up. She deleted all the content on her social media that involved him, including the video of that first love letter. Her latest video caption was, "Sincerity is the only real trump card." On the day of the advanced English final, I saw Danny and my other two roommates off to their exam before heading back to the dorm to catch up on sleep. I hadn't been lying down for long when there was a knock on the door. "Brandon, don't you have an exam?" I was surprised to see him. We hadn't spoken in a month. Not since he and Anna broke up 2 days ago. He had sent me a message in the middle of the night and then immediately retracted it. I saw the notification but pretended I hadn't and ignored it. Brandon's expression was dark. He hadn't shaved in a few days, and he looked completely worn out. "Andy, what if I wanted you to move back?" I looked at him in disbelief. Had he lost his mind? "Anna and we broke up. If you move back, we can be best friends." "Okay." Brandon put on that same pitiful, pleading expression he always used. He was an expert at using his good looks to get what he wanted. I laughed coldly. "And then what? Just friends? We can be best friends for life. I won't date anyone, you don't date anyone, we'll be together forever." "Brandon, you're being incredibly naive. I'm not going to give up on someone I like just for you." His eyes were bloodshot, his voice hoarse. "But you said you used to like me." "But I don't anymore. I couldn't spend my life liking someone who played dumb, who enjoyed being liked while insisting you were just friends. It's like Anna said, sincerity is the only real trump card." I could feel the overwhelming force of Danny's feelings for me. I refused to believe that the Brandon from my past couldn't feel mine. Brandon hesitated for a moment, as if making a monumental decision. He clenched his fists, his eyes filled with a desperate hope as he asked cautiously, "What if I like you? Then thank you for liking me. But we were only ever roommates. Don't cross the line." Hearing my words, Brandon deflated like a popped balloon. He leaned against the wall and mumbled, "Ever since you moved out, I've been having this dream. I dreamed that you never left, that you were always by my side. Right up until Anna and I broke up. You got drunk and confessed to me. I remember being scared, wanting to get away from you, so I deleted you on everything. Actually, I really regret being so impulsive. Luckily, you never gave up on me. You said I still owed you $1. I felt like you were humiliating me, so I said some harsh things. Thinking you'd come find me again, I cut him off. You're overthinking things. That was all just a dream. In reality, I've already given up." Brandon frantically wiped at his tears, turning away so I wouldn't see. His voice was muffled. "If I had gotten together with you back then, would we? No, you and I could never have been together." I opened the door and gestured for him to leave. "You're just upset because you and Anna broke up. Go home. I have an exam this afternoon and I need to rest." Brandon slowly shuffled out, his face ashen, looking like a zombie. "Actually, I'm not that upset about her. It's just, with you, I already paid you back that $1. You should Be happy. With him. I nodded and wished him well with a smile. You too. It's like they say in the movies. A late confession is cheaper than dirt. The same goes for feelings. You have to cherish the person in front of you, or you risk losing everything. And the person I needed to cherish was still in an exam room somewhere, probably tearing his hair out. He wasn't a bad student, just lazy. The sight of English words made him sleepy. Danny's nose was like a bloodhound's. The second he got back, he was sniffing around me. Why do you smell like someone else? I told him about Brandon's visit. He rubbed his head against my neck. He's definitely up to no good. Trying to mess with your head so you'd fail your exam. He can't affect me. When I came out of my final, I saw Danny waiting outside with a small cake. Andy, over here. He didn't jump this time, just stood on his tiptoes, waving frantically. I ran over to him and he grabbed me. Gotcha. Come on, let's go to Cafeteria 4 and watch Jerry Springer. Danny pulled me toward the cafeteria, giving the back of my neck a squeeze. Tonight, we're carrying the whole game. It's been over a month since I touched a game. Hope I'm not too rusty. I looked up at him, surprised. We're friends in the game? He looked at me as if I were a lost cause. I'm that jungler, he said, enunciating every word. You really didn't notice? Seriously, the one who is loved is always fearless. As punishment, you have to feel my abs. This time, I didn't pull away. He took my hand and guided it over his stomach. Not too many, not too few. Perfect six-pack, each one clearly defined. I tried to defend myself. That's because all my online usernames are the same, but your game ID is Captain Megadinosaur. You don't like it? You remembered it so clearly. You must have been deeply attracted to it. On that point, I had no rebuttal. It fit his personality perfectly. After getting our food and finding a corner table, Danny eagerly opened the cake box. I had the bakery make a special pass every exam cake. He pulled the $1 coin from his pocket and held it out to me. Can I trade this for a reward? I thought of the cut on his lip from a few days ago, and my heart fluttered. Can I kiss you? Danny's eyes sparkled, practically glowing. The tips of his ears were bright red. The whole world seemed to fall silent. All I could hear was the frantic pounding of my heart and his. Seeing my hesitation, Danny quickly clarified, I mean, just not like a real kiss, just a peck on the cheek. You look very kissable. I nodded. Danny visibly brightened. He leaned in cautiously, his warm, quick breaths fanning across my face. I felt his warm lips touch my cheek for a fleeting second before he pulled away. In that moment, my heart was a drum solo. Danny's face was flushed as he teased me. Your ears are red. You're so innocent. I nonchalantly pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and showed it to him. Your face is red too. For some reason, we both burst out laughing. A feeling called happiness spread through the air around us. 2 months later, the exam scores were released. My English had always been good, and I had studied hard, so I naturally passed with a high score. Danny, however, called me sobbing. I studied for so long and only got a 424. I was 1 point away. I'm already on the bus to... Before Danny could finish, a car horn blared. His voice took on a shameless, defiant tone. Anyway, I got over a 400 on the exam, so you have to let me chase you. I recognized the driver's accent as being from my hometown and quickly asked, Where are you right now? I just got off the train. I'm on my way to a hotel. Danny sent me the hotel address and continued to grumble. Just 1 point. My heart is bleeding. Okay. Actually, that day I was going to say that the coin could be your reward if you didn't pass. But you traded it for a kiss instead. That one doesn't count. Of course it doesn't. Hearing that, Danny laughed foolishly for a long time, then eagerly started a video call. I missed you so much these past few weeks of break. Should I come find you now? Yes. For the rest of the break, until school starts, you have to hang out with me and show me around. I've never been skiing before. Danny and I officially got together while we were skiing. His proposal was incredibly old-fashioned. He said he'd lost his ring and asked me to help him find it. I was on my hands and knees in the snow when I saw a small red box. Inside were 2 men's rings. He pulled off his glove, picked up one of the rings, and slid it onto my finger. "I finally caught you," he whispered. I was enveloped in the scent of tobacco from him, my heart pounding like a trapped deer. In that moment under the vast, snowy sky, it was just us. Snowflakes drifted down around us like fireworks in my heart, bursting over and over. Epilogue. Danny is a fascinating person, though he'd never admit it. He insists he's a cold, aloof flower on a lonely mountain. I've discovered my type is someone who is interesting but completely unaware of it. We've been together for 2 years and have barely fought. The only thing he ever gets hung up on is that 1,000-word love letter, because I still haven't written him one. It's not that I don't want to, but that there's too much to say. 1,000 words could never contain it all. Later, for his birthday, I gave him a 10,000-word letter. There was no bitterness of a secret crush inside, only the joy of our time together, all the big and small things we'd done, and all my feelings of love for him. He read it very seriously for a long time that day, then suddenly looked up. "I always thought that painting of the husky you gave me was your dog. I can't believe you were painting me. How dare you? My little Danny is about to become Big Danny out of pure rage." And so, I was thoroughly teased by Big Danny for a long time that day. I'm not as brilliant as Anna, who got an early acceptance to a top-tier grad school. I only got into our university's graduate program, but I was completely content. It took Danny 5 tries to pass his basic English exam. He was always off by just 1 or 2 points. I felt sorry for him, but I also really wanted to laugh. I saw Brandon again after Danny finished his grad school entrance exam. He was coming out of the testing center too. If he hadn't called out to me, I probably wouldn't have recognized him. After I moved dorms, I'd barely seen him at all. "How have you been?" "Pretty good." He nodded, repeating, "That's good, that's good. If I get in this time, could I be in the same program as you?" Brandon asked tentatively, standing there awkwardly. I held Danny back and told him, "Let's see if you get in first." In the end, Brandon was a few points short. He was reassigned to a university thousands of miles away from ours. We never saw each other again. I only heard that plenty of people were chasing after Brandon, but he remained single. Danny linked his arm with mine. He took the thick stack of letters from the table and sorted them into piles. "These are the ones you wrote me this year, and these are the ones I wrote you. I feel like we could publish a book with all the stuff we've written. It's been 7 years. How are we not sick of each other yet? How dare you? Are you trying to jinx our relationship?" Danny squeezed the back of my neck and said menacingly, "You're asking for it,